How's it going, boys? Here we are. We're going to do an artifact tier list. The way that we're going to be doing this, we're going to break it down in three different categories. We're first going to be doing accessories, then we're going to be doing gear, and then lastly, we're going to be doing weapons, because as you guys know, weapons are the majority of the artifacts. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and start with the accessories. Let's go ahead and start with the with a lost stopwatch. In my opinion, this is probably a C tier amulet. Why? Because while it does makes you have the taunting ability, you know, and the only good thing about it is that you can use a damaging gem on your weapon, right? You use a damaging gem on your weapon, and then you use this, and therefore you have a little bit more damage with your weapon. Also, your stun lasts 1 second longer, but who cares about the stun in PvE? The moment that you stun the enemies, they're going to wake up immediately. This amulet right here is not utilized. I mean, this accessory right here is not utilized in PvP whatsoever. It used to be back in the day, but the fact that it reduces your base damage by 10%, this is not recommended. Putting a carnelian gem on your weapon doesn't really take that much damage away. And you can just, you can use better accessory. You can probably even use the blood drinker to stay alive longer, in my opinion. And you also have to remember, my opinion might be different than yours. If you guys disagree with some of these artifacts that I'm putting on the tier list, you also can, for a beginner, the stopwatch is great, but once you learn to tank, it's useless. Right, but for a beginner, I would rather that people use wit instead. Wit is a way easier tanking weapon than the lost stopwatch. And yeah, not a fan of the lost stopwatch. Is all the way down here in C tier. He has his uses for a beginner player, but for a veteran player, it will be a D tier. It will be a D tier. All right, the next one that we're going to be talking about is going to be the elemental band. The elemental band is an A tier accessory. The reason why it's not S tier is because, unfortunately, you cannot have the damage specific that you want. The good thing about it is that it gives you, overall empower. But the problem with the empowered is that it's a limited empowered. And the other problem with elemental ban is that it forces you to play with several split damage, and you cannot go for one full-on build, right? So yes, on top of that, it's quite hard to obtain, and it's quite hard to level up. It's not easily accessible to everybody. And, you know, at the end of the day, the most you get out of this ring is probably 8 to 12% increased damage. Very little scenarios you will find yourself doing 16% more damage with this thing. And the thing about the elemental band is you're pretty much forced to play with empowered on the amulet, so you can get a 80-90% uptime of the empower with the ring. Otherwise, you will be missing a lot of damage. And the thing about the elemental band is that the first hit that you do will never be empowered by the elemental band, because the first hit that you do will have 0% empower. After you hit the enemy is when you get the empower. You know what I mean? All right, the next thing that we're going to be talking about is going to be endless stars. Endless stars is 100% S tier. This accessory right here, it is super fucking powerful for basically everybody. If you're a healer, you can use this. If you're a solo DPS, you can use this. Anybody can use endless stars. Endless stars, the only drawback that it has is that the potions are 25% longer cooldown, but the effectiveness of the potion being 33% stronger. On top of that, giving you a 20% fortification, and on top of that, giving you a 10% empowered. Every time that you use a potion, it's really fucking good. You usually have like an 80-90% uptime of your empowerments and your fortification with this one. And the fact that the endless stars allows you to drink one regenerating potion or one serum and not have to worry about potions again for quite a while, and giving you 1,000 healing. And then if you use a healing potion, it's like 10,000 healing. Endless stars, it is really, really, really good in both PvP and PvE. All right, the next accessory that we are going to be talking about, it is going to be the blood drinker. In my opinion, the blood drinker is an A tier amulet, because this amulet right here makes PvE easy mode if you are a solo player. The only drawback about this ring is that it reduces your damage by about 12 to 13%. It is a 25% base damage reduction, but you know how the base damage to empower math translate, right? This ring right here, it is really, really, really good for solo PvE and any type of PvE that you want to do. If you ever have any problem dying, you can slap this one in. Now, if you are a DPS in a Gorgon raid or in a Sandworm, I will not recommend for you to use this ring because then you will be losing a lot of damage. But if you're a solo player, this ring, it is exceptional to do any type of PvE content in the game. The next accessory we're going to be talking about is going to be Ankh. And Ankh is also an S tier accessory. The fact that this accessory makes all of your healing increase by 25%, as long as they're from a healer, of course, that is exceptional. Because if you are a bruiser in PvP or a tank in PvP and PvE, 90% to 95% of all of the healings that you receive are from the healers. And having that 25% healing, you know, all of those heal from the healer being 25% stronger, it is incredibly powerful. On top of that, the Ankh make things like Healthy Toes heal you for more, make things like Healing Breeze also heal you for more, and a couple of other perks here and there that they give you health, but they're not really necessarily considered leeching, because you have to remember what Ankh does. Ankh makes your life stealing and your potions heal for 25% less, but all of the other healings be increased by 25%. Once again, meaning if your source of healing comes from another source that is not your potions or life steal, then Ankh is tremendous. Especially if you are a person that is constantly on top of the sacred ground and constantly on top of the beacons. Does Shuriken Heal work with Ankh? Yes, Mr. Cranky Pants. Okay, and then the last one that we have is Phoenix. I'm gonna put Phoenix on a B tier because while it is good on what it does, unfortunately, it's just not a good contender, right? Because whenever you're using Phoenix, you're already accepting that you're probably going to die along the road. Obviously, dying is normal in New World, but why would you give yourself an amulet that, you know, that it just stops you from dying? The thing is that it doesn't stop you from dying. It just stops you from dying momentarily. If you don't secure a kill, then it's you know, it's pretty useless. All right, and now that we are done, oh no, we're not done with the accessories. Here we go. This is another accessory. So this accessory here is called Justice. All right. For those of you that don't know what Justice is, I will show you right here. So Justice says, whenever you get hit 20 times, you gain a potion surge that will recharge your next survival potion instantly on a 90-second cooldown, you guys. 90-second cooldown. That is ridiculous, right? Not only do you need to get hit 20 times, but then that has a 90-second cooldown, meaning you can get hit 100 times in 90 seconds. You will only get one potion back, right? And if you have an incredible amount of anti-heals on you, then that potion is probably not even going to be that good. So if you are a person that is getting hit 20 times, you're probably a person that is also sitting on top of a sacred ground. And if you're sitting on top of a sacred ground, then what artifact should you be using? You should be using Ankh, right? The only way that I can see some usage is maybe with the utilization of grid potions, right? Let's say that you are bruiser in war, and then all of your healings are coming from a healer, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna drink a healing potion, I'm gonna drink maybe like a grid potion, right? And then you get hit 20 times, and then you can drink another grid potion, right? That is the way that I can see it happening. But other than that, it has very, very limited uses. And in the overall gameplay, you will never utilize that earring. All right, I think that we are done with the accessories. So let's go ahead and start now moving to the shields. Right, in my opinion, Gladiator is a C or D tier. The reason why this shield is a D or C tier is because if you're going to use a round shield, you're most likely a light or medium player. And if you are a light or a medium player, boy oh boy, there is a million better artifacts to put on your gear. Why? Because whenever you use a shield artifact, you cannot use a gear artifact. And why the fuck will you not use endless featherweight or literally anything else, gene head wrap, so many things that you could use on your build to make it exceptionally stronger? And then the thing is that Gladiator, for what it does, right, it says Jagged Spike, when you are hit or you block, you applied a Kingly Jagged to the enemy that lasts 6 seconds. It also has a diminishing shield bash and a 45 shield rush, and it has Killian power. It does not have the 5% damage that you get from having a normal round shield. It does have Killian power, 45 shield rush, and diminishing shield bash. But the thing is, if you're using a Gladiator for a bleed build, you're probably either using Leaping Strike, Upheaval, or Whirling Blades. So never you will be using diminishing, you will be using shield bash and 45 shield rush together with this build, right? So Gladiator, unfortunately, it's not it. It doesn't work against ranged attacks. So if you're fighting against a fire stab, bow, anything that is range, it won't work. All right. The next one that we're going to be talking about is Michael. And Michael, in my opinion, is an A tier artifact. While Michael, yes, it does get rid of, you know, it's an artifact shield and you cannot use another shield artifact. I mean, another armor artifact. Michael, for what it does, is amazing. For what Michael does is amazing. And as a medium flail user, using Michael, it is insane. Insane. For those of you that don't know what Michael is, basically, Michael is like a gene head wrap for people that like to block. Okay? Whenever you block with Michael, you immediately lose 1 debuff, regardless of what it is. You could have 30 debuff on you. You block, everybody hits you, all of the debuff immediately fucking disappear. Immediately disappear. So this is really, really, really good if you want to play with a shield and not having to play with gene head wrap. Then, look, chat, it's like low A tier, high B tier. Then we have this motherfucker right here, chat. This shield, while I hate it with every ounce of my body, it is so fucking good, bro. It is so goddamn good for the PvP tanks that holding 10 and 15 fucking players with them. No, it's not S tier, unfortunately, Lucky, because you cannot dodge with it, right? Meaning that if you're gonna get hit by something that is gonna be doing a lot of damage, like a lot of stamina damage, like an armor breaker, you cannot dodge that. If there are splitting grenades on the floor, you cannot dodge that. So the fact that you cannot dodge, right, it is the only reason that is A tier. If you were able to dodge, then it would be S tier. So this artifact gives an unnecessary amount of power to tank players that they should never have. Honestly, I wish they would have never added this shield into the game, especially for PvP. For PvE, I don't give a shit. And by the way, for PvE, it's amazing. For PvP, man, it's a bitch. It's a bitch to fight against. It's almost impossible, dude. All right, do we have any other shield? Yes, we do. What the fuck is the name of this shield right here? This shield was added relatively new to the game, and I don't even know what the fuck that shield does, Shan. Relentless? Relentless. Autism. When in combat, all of your allies around you gain 35% armor and gain 20% life steal. Oh, 20% increased healing from non-consumables and life steal sources. However, your armor is reduced by 25%. Oh, shit. I think that shield is amazing. I'm gonna give it an A tier. I think that shield is exceptional, Sha. That shield is tremendous. If that shield is utilized by like a support player next to the clumps, because the thing is, you can utilize that shield and stack it with the right ultimate of Sword and Shield, which it gives all of your allies like 30% or 20% damage protection. So you using this thing with a Sword and Shield and blocking around your allies exceptionally, it gives them like over 50% of protection. This shield, it is amazing. And honestly, this shield should be utilized by at least one person in every war roster or also for PvE. That is a very, very good shield to have in the back pocket. 50% more armor, not protection. Whenever you combine it with the sword and shield wielder, because the sword and shield, while blocking, reduce the damage of all of your allies by 30%, right? So these reduce all of the damage that your allies take by 30%, and that of the shield increases their armor by a lot. So whenever you combine the armor increase and the 30% damage reduction and you put them together, that is roughly a 50% more protection. Does that make sense, Wilder? That is a really, really good shield to be used as a support for your allies. That is fucking nuts. That shield is amazing. And it seems that we are done. We're done with the shields. So far, everybody agrees with this so far? Any suggestions? Should we make any alterations? What do you guys think? I disagree with Phoenix. Let's talk about it, Meta. Let's talk about it. I would say it's a low B. High C. Because it does have its uses. It's not completely useless, chat. No. It's not dog shit. It has its uses, but it's not as powerful as these other accessories here. I still think that Phoenix in PvE is not too bad. You should never go into a fight expecting to die. I understand that, and that's why it's not A or S tier. It's highly situational, it is. But in those situations, it's decent. That is why it's a low B or high C tier. Let's compromise a C tier. Yeah, I can compromise at a high C because it still does some nice things. There's really no reason at all for Phoenix. Well, Mr. Broke, then I could apply the same logic and say there's no real reason for Defy Death on the hatchet for PvE, right? Phoenix is like having Defy Death in PvE regardless of the weapon that you have. Who is taking that many killing blows in PvE to be effective and worth it? Sometimes you pull a clump and accidents happen. Sometimes you pull a clump and a purple shed procs underneath of you and you immediately die. And then you can kill an NPC in a clump. Sometimes it's the key. And again, chat, because it's sometime, that is why it's not A tier or S tier. I mean, Phoenix, it does have some good perks. It has Purify and Stamina Recovery, and you can put Refreshing Recovery on Phoenix. Basically, if you drop below 50%, Phoenix can get rid of every single one of your dots. It can give you stamina backs. It can give you all of your abilities back, right? Because Purify and Stamina Recovery is an illegal perk combination. And this right here, it makes it decent. It doesn't make it amazing or it doesn't make it good, but it makes it decent. Honestly, after putting it that way, I see what you mean. The illegal perk combo it's mid. It is mid. Yes, it is mid, Kush. It is mid. And that's why it's a mid artifact. It cannot be A and it cannot be S. But I will not put Phoenix below C tier. All right, and I think we are done with the accessories and the shields. Let's go ahead and jump into the helmets. And the first helmet that we see, it is the Wizard Great Hat. And the Wizard Great Hat cannot be better than a B tier, chat. Unfortunately, the Wizard Great Hat, it can be only utilized with magical weapons. And it's good with Ice Gauntlet, Fire Staff. It's not good at all with Void Gauntlet. And I could argue that you have better artifacts to use for a healer than this thing. And the other problem with the Wizard Great Hat is that it gives you intelligence. So if you use it as a healer, you're gonna have 50 points of intelligence that you didn't really ask for, you know? So you're really forced to use this build with this helm with 3 weapons only: Fire Staff, Ice Gauntlet, and Void Gauntlet. And honestly, whenever you're using a Void Gauntlet and Ice Gauntlet, it's better to use the cooldown reduction chest piece. This helm, the best use that we have found is for the BBLC build, and that constructs using it with Fire Staff. And if an artifact gear is only useful with, you know, one weapon, it cannot be A or S tier. The Wizard Great Hat, the Great Wizard Hat is a low B tier artifact. All right, then we had the Jean Head Wrap at D tier, boys. This thing is fucking... No, wait, no, Jean Head Wrap S tier, 100%. I've been saying this ever since fucking the Jean Head Wrap came out into the game. I've been saying Jean is an incredibly fucking powerhouse the entire time that Jean has been out, and people finally catching up to it. Jean Head Wrap, it is exceptional. Exceptional. Because it has an illegal perk combination of Vigor and Invigorated, right? And on top of that, it has a free Vigor and a free Invigorated on top of that. So Jean Head Wrap is equivalent of utilizing 2 Vigors and 2 Invigorateds in one piece of gear, which is incredibly powerful. And on top of that, it is one of the easiest artifacts to obtain in the entire game. Regardless of levels, profession, or skills, you can obtain this artifact. It is one of the easiest to obtain, and it's one of the most powerful artifacts in the entire game. Okay, the only downside to it is that it's a medium helm, so you need to make some adjustments to your gear if you want to remain light. But other than that, this artifact is exceptional. And for those of you that don't understand why this artifact is so good, basically, this artifact makes every debuff in the game last 50% less just by having this artifact, pretty much. Because debuff in New World are the reason why you cannot heal. Is the reason why you cannot do damage. Is the reason why you're taking massive damage. Is the reason why you cannot move. Is the reason why you cannot pay your child support. Like, dude, this is crazy. Jean, it is mega broken. Jean is so good that in my personal opinion, I think Jean deserves a nerf. I think in the bare minimum, and I know people be like, what the fuck, Drake? No! Fuck you. This shit is too fucking strong. The shrug off should be 10% and not 20%. This item is way too fucking strong. Shrug off should not be 20%. This thing should be 10%. This shit is too strong. There's a million builds out there that get completely cock blocked because of this fucking thing, bro. Why would one item counter like 40-50% of New World builds, bro? Because every time you're creating a build, you're like, okay, I gotta have fucking 30% Ren, fucking 40% anti-heal, you know, like a 30% weaken, 30% slow, and then you go, you put on the fucking Jean Head Wrap, and you go, all right, the next one that we have is Helmet, the Plague Herald. The Plague Herald is an high A tier artifact, almost S tier. Almost S tier. The only reason that this helm is not S tier is because of the simple fact that you give yourself a 10% disease. And not always you are in the position to hit the enemy with a heavy attack, right? And if the enemy has like a 40% anti-heal on you, and you hit him a couple of times and you had to disengage, now you have extra anti-heal on top of you, reducing the effectiveness of your potion. And on top of that, it has the necessity of you hitting the enemy with a heavy attack. Heavy attacks are very telegraphed, okay? You know exactly what they are going to do and when they're going to do it, so it's very easy to dodge. So sometimes you might be sitting with this 10% anti-heal on you for an unnecessary amount. But yes, whenever you do hit the enemy with the 10 stacks, it is amazing. And that is why it is a very high A tier, but not S tier. All right, the next helm that we're going to be talking about, it is going to be the Crown. And in my opinion, the Crown is an S tier artifact. It gives you a lot of stats. The only problem with the old Crown is that it's a bitch to level up. It is very hard to level up because you have to capture those 10 forts, and that can take hours. That can take so many hours, dude. But it is a very good artifact. It gives you a lot of protection, a lot of attributes. There's not much for me to say about this because It is very simple. The value that you get from the gem isn't crazy. Yeah, but the attributes is. I mean, you still get 3% protection from every magical and 3% protection from every physical on top of the other gem that you can put. It is pretty good. It is pretty fucking good. All right, the next one that we're going to be talking about, it is this one right here. And in my opinion, this helm is a B tier helm, chat. All right. Then we have the Cowl of Power. The Cowl of Power is not an artifact that a lot of people know about it, so let's go ahead and take a look at it, including myself. It says Depth Spread Energy. If you hit an enemy while your mana is below... All right, moving on. I don't even need to finish that shit. Wait, but let me finish it. You gain 4 seconds of 25% increased damage on a 10... Yeah. Yeah, that's ass. Just fucking garbage. That's fucking garbage. Oh my fucking god, that is so ass. Oh god. The increased damage in power too, and the way, yeah, that shit is ass, dude. You'll probably need to get, it will get a rework in season 10. He has to, yes, he has to. Oh, my bad. So this helm right here, I didn't talk about this helm. So the reason I'm putting this helm on the B tier category is because this is a heavy helm. Yes, I understand that this helm reduces its weight effectiveness by 5%, which it gives you a little bit of build variety here and there. But the problem with this artifact is that it only protects you from critical strike. It doesn't protect you from anything else, right? It doesn't protect you from non-criticals. It doesn't protect you from dots. It doesn't protect you from debuff. It doesn't protect you from pretty much anything. That is just a critical. And the fact that it's a heavy piece of gear and now it's limiting you to have to make, you know, some adjustments. And if you're gonna use a heavy build, there's no point in using this. Why? Because you can use the Freedom Pants or the Void Dart play, which is... They're much better. They're much better choices. Even the Attuned Leather Pants, not the Attuned Leather Pants, even the Tumbler Feet Wrap for a medium or heavy play will probably be better than this. All right, I think that does it for the helms. Let's now ahead and go and talk about the chest piece. All right, the first chest piece that we're going to be talking about, it is going to be Featherweight. This is a no-brainer. No fucking brainer. Featherweight has been S tier always and will always be S tier because Featherweight gives you the ability to have medium defensiveness, sort of, and it still be light. It gives you the ability to be very tanky and still be light. It gives you the ability of using shields and still be light. And on top of that, it gives you the ability to use like the King Speed boots from the Sandworm and still be light. Featherweight giving you so many build variety and so much, you know, so much possibilities in the game. It is an incredible tool for basically any motherfucking build there is. But the thing about Featherweight is that it's possibly one of these artifacts that does not need a nerf and it does not need a buff. In my opinion, Featherweight is as close to a perfect artifact as artifacts get. Alright? Featherweight is such a cool fucking thing in the game, dude. The next chest piece that we have is the Void Dart Blade. And the Void Dart Blade is also S tier. I don't think we need to talk too much about this. The fact that this chest piece right here, it is the best chest piece in the entirety of the game. For anybody that wants to be a heavy player in both PvP, PvE, Ward, OPR, 3v3s, open world, whatever you name it. This artifact for a heavy player takes heavy to a whole new level. Yes, you cannot use it in medium light, but you know, again, it doesn't matter. For what this artifact does, it does it perfectly. And it's so fucking good. So what is the verdict on the Cowl of Power? It's shit. That is the verdict. All right, the next chest piece that we're going to be talking about, it is going to be Nature's Fury. Nature's Fury, it is a dead artifact. This artifact went from being an S-tiered artifact to a D-tiered artifact with just one single patch. These artifacts should never be used with any build in the entire game, unless you are a masochist. Nature's Wrath, whatever. What did I say, Iron High? Nature's Wrath, it is pretty shit in every single type of content in the game. It went from being an S tier to a shit tier. Remove it from the game. Nobody will ever use it ever again artifact. Just like that. The biggest downfall of an artifact is Nature's Wrath. It is an 8 out of 10 transmog. Yeah, it's pretty cool transmog, you're right. It's such a shit artifact that most people forgot what it's called. Yeah. Yeah. That literally. It's such a shit artifact that people don't even know what it do. I'll put it in C tier. It has some uses. No. It takes every time and power non-exists and every non-time and power 50% less. For what? For a 10% damage increase. What the fuck? What the fuck will you do that? What the fuck will you do that? Any weapon that has high base damage and doesn't care about empower? Say, then use a honing stone and use glass gems and you can get 17% increased damage instead of 10% damage increase. And on top of that, you can still get any empower you want. It's pointless. It makes your honing stone, instead of being 7% damage, only 3.5 damage, only 3.5% damage. And it makes the gems on your gear that gives you 10% damage, gives you only 5% damage. So if you don't use Nature's Wrath and you use a honing stone and the gems on your gear, you're already doing more damage than Nature's Fury, Nature's Wrath, without the worry that any empower that you get is gonna go away. And which weapon doesn't have empower? Ice Gauntlet and Blunderbuss. That's pretty much it. And for those two weapons, you use Honing Stone, 7% damage on the ring, which, by the way, the 7% damage on the ring also gets nerfed by 50% by this thing. Why the fuck are you nerfing all of your damage by 50% just to get 10%? That doesn't literally make any sense. It's pointless, boys. It's pointless because even if Blunderbuss and Ice Gauntlet don't have empowered, you can still use Keenly Empowered. Or you can still use Endless Stars and get a 10% empower. And the 10% empower you get from Endless Stars is the same exact damage that Nature's Wrath will give you, without the worry of ever losing a debuff. Ever losing an empower. This artifact is possibly the worst artifact in the entire game. This artifact is worse than the Kaoru shit. We have the Nimbo chest piece. The Nimbo chest piece is an S tier artifact. That's not even an argument. That's not even an argument. The 2% elemental damage count as empower. Yes, they do, Hussar. This artifact right here gives you the ability to pump more abilities than anything else will do in the game. This artifact is best for both PvP and PvE for some specific builds. And for PvE, this artifact is S motherfucking tier. We don't even need to talk about PvP. This artifact in PvE alone, for a light DPS player that uses a lot of use is already S tier. And when we bring it into PvP for weapons like Void Gauntlet and Ice Gauntlet, is also S tier. So wherever you use this thing will always be an S tier artifact. All right. And then we have this artifact. This one is whenever you get hit below 50% health, you get 20 stamina, you lose all of your debuff, and you gain a potion surge that will recharge your next potion instantly, and it has 120 gold. While all of this sounds great, the fact that it's a 2-minute cooldown, it is far too fucking long. That is crazy. Crazy on a 2-minute cooldown. On a 2-minute cooldown, you die 17 times. Okay? And why the fuck will you use this heavy chest wear when we have this chest wear in the game? You know, you could be so much more stronger and not be concerned about the fact that you need to drop below 50% health, right? Because the thing is, this survivor code, let's say that everything that it does here is very cool. Whenever it procs for the next 2 minutes, what are you doing? For the next 2 minutes, it is useless. For the next 2 minutes, this artifact does absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing, boys. 2 minutes, it's too long in everything. It's too long in PvP, it's too long in PvE. 2 minutes not too long in everything, Trickum? Yes. 2 minutes is too long in everything. Yes. 2 minutes is way too long in everything. So I'm gonna put this guy on a C, on a very low C tier. All right. And now let's go ahead and talk about the chess piece. And then is this chess piece, which is the last one. And in my opinion, chat, this chess piece is a B tier chess piece. Unfortunately, this chess piece is not very welcome for the majority of the weapons in the game. You could make an argument that this chess piece is only good for the Abyss Great Axe. And whenever utilized for the Abyss Great Axe, it is a low B tier artifact. Okay? It is decent at what it do, but it's not good enough to be considered meta. It is niche at its best, but in its niche field, it can be really fun. Is this overall a PvP ranking? No, this is both PvP and PvE. This is overall ranking of the artifact overall, right? How good is this artifact in the game, in both PvP and PvE? All right, I think we are done with the chess piece. Let's go ahead and start talking about the gloves. The first glove that we're going to be talking about, it is this glove right here. These are the quick draw gloves, and these are immediately going into the shed tier. All right, these gloves need to be reworked 100%. We have the quick shed, nature shed, and a cowl shed, and they all stink. Now, the reason why the quick draw is such an incredibly fucking bad artifact is because of what it does. It says you are immune to damage for half a second after you weapon swap on a 12-second cooldown. What the fuck is that? I weapon swap 13 times before I even get hit one time. What the fuck do I want to be immune to damage for half a second? And the thing is, Chad, you could make the argument, well, think about it, Chuck, think about it. You get hit by a CC, you're about to get fucking combusted, mega boosted down. You weapon swap, boom, you're immune for half a second. You take no damage. Yeah, that sounds great. Given that I didn't weapon swap 12 seconds ago, because if I weapon swap 12 seconds ago, then it doesn't matter how many times I weapon swap, that shit is not gonna make me immune to damage. 12-second cooldown, chat, on a game that you're constantly weapon swapping every 4 seconds. You do an ability, weapon swap, ability, light attack, weapon swap, roll, weapon swap. Get the fuck out of here. Such a bad artifact that has no uses anywhere in the game. Let's look at this one right here. Ghostly Touch. When you hit an empowered foe, you dispel 2 of their empowers and give yourself a 10-second empower for 10 seconds on a 4-second cooldown. This is some medium gloves, meaning that you can use it in life. And in my opinion, Ghostly Touch, after reading what they do, they are a high B tier or a low A tier. There has to be a very low A tier or a very high B tier. It does not get better than that. That is what these gloves are right there. It's B for me. That's an easy A. There you go. 2 empowers and no cooldown is insane, given that the enemy has an empowered beam on me. If you're fighting against an ice gauntlet, you're never gonna do anything with that. If you're fighting against a blunderbuss, unless they're using killing empower, you're not gonna get anything with that. And that is why it's not an S tier, and that is why it's not a high A. It is a low A, high B tier. All right, the next one is Ghoul Gloves. When you hit a foe that is below half health, transfer 1 debuff. Garbage. Ass. Mondonga. Moronga y mierda. These are some shit fucking gloves. These are some shit fucking gloves. Shit glove. When you hit a foe that is below half health, you transfer 1 of your debuff. What if I transfer the debuff that I don't want? What if I don't have any debuff? And the fact that the enemy needs to be below half health, it's just too many variables. Too many variables and for one. And what if the debuff only had like a 2-second duration? I don't know. These gloves are, they're not cool. They're not good. And there's too much RNG with these gloves. Too much RNG with this glove. And why the hell will you put yourself in that position? It's way better to use a artifact piece of gear that it has a 100% effectiveness whatever you do. Why would I want to wear a piece of gear that is only effective if I have a debuff and the enemy is below 50% health? That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. And on top of that, all of the debuff have different power and different effectiveness. The fact that I don't have control over the debuff that I transfer to the enemy, that is also super fucking whack. Let's say that I have a 50% weaken and I have a 10% anti-heal. And I hit the enemy, and instead of transferring the 50% weaken, I transfer the 10% anti-heal. That's garbage. That is garbage in pretty much 90% of the game. Gilly's Gravity Gauntlets. Whenever you take damage, you gain an empowered shard that increases the damage of your next attack by 2%. Maximum 10 charges. I can see some sort of use for that, but it's so goddamn niche that it has to be C tier. That is a low C tier, D tier probably. Too bad. Yeah. These are some bad gloves. So the Leash Glove says, when you activate an ability, you gain a stack of 10% in power for 7 seconds. Maximum 3 stacks. After you hit an enemy with a basic attack, you lose all the stacks. Can't gain that empower stack for 3 seconds after these stacks expire or are removed. But what build in the game doesn't use basic attacks between abilities? You know? Dead Freeze would build uses no basic, but the Dead Freeze will better utilizing this guy. Rapier, Musket, Rapier, Bleed Trick. Musket, Rapier, Bleed, but Trap, Power Shot, Powder Burn, and Bleed Rapier? No, bro, that is too niche. No fucking way. No fucking ways. You could do a Scorpion into a Cyclone into a Perforain, but you could also do a Scorpion into a left-click Cyclone to do a massive amounts of damage. Almost every single build already has anywhere from 30 to 50% in power. The only builds that don't necessarily have empowered is Blunderbuss and Ice Gauntlet. And both Blunderbuss and Ice Gauntlet use light attacks and heavy attacks a lot. You use Ice Spike into a light attack, and you use Storm into a heavy attack, Ice Spike, light attack. And the Blunderbuss is basic attack ability, basic attack ability. It's too fucking niche. While they are decent, they cannot be anything better than a low B, high C tier. And the thing is, you have to remember, what artifact are you replacing with this? Are you going to replace the Nimble Coat? Fuck no. Are you going to replace Featherweight? Fuck no. Fuck no, dude. Are you going to replace Jin? Fuck no. Fuck no. If it is 99% niche, then it cannot be better than a C, B tier. All right, then do we have any other glove? These are the critical gloves, and the critical glove, in my opinion, they're also a C tier, or maybe a B tier. I'll put it a low B tier. It is not utilized in most builds. The only build that you could realistically speak use this is on a Void Blade build, and we did the testing. The Void Blade cooldowns come back pretty much at the same time as these gloves right here. See, best place for it is Void Gauntlet. Yeah, this is pretty much, again, it's super fucking niche, and it might only work with 1.5 builds in the entire game. All right, and I think that does for all of the gloves. Now let's go ahead and talk about boots. The first boots that we're going to be talking about are going to be the Tumbler Feed Wrap and the Tumbler Feed Wrap without competition, or S tier. All right, Tumbler Feed Wrap are so fucking amazing. These boots can give you extra Shuriken heal, meaning that you don't even have to have Shuriken heal to proc Healing Breeze. These boots also give you Empower. These boots also gives you Fortification with a very low cooldown. These boots are light, meaning that you can use it with an incredible amount of builds. And these boots have been S tier and will always be S tier in New World for the entire time. These boots are so goddamn fucking good for both, mostly PvP. I'm gonna make this very clear. All right, Tumbler Feet Wrap is a mostly PvP artifact. Can you use it in PvE? Sure. But Tumbler Feet Wrap is amazing in PvP for a light shuriken and heal player. Super, super, super fucking good. All right. The next ones that we're going to be talking about are the leather wind shoes. And the leather wind shoes are a high A tier build. These shoes are pretty fucking good. They make all of your haze, last longer. And if you have a haze, it gives you more damage. These are medium boots, meaning that you can use it with both medium and light. And any build that has any sort of haze, which there's a lot of builds, you can utilize it. I'm gonna put it down here, kind of like in this range. These are very, very good boots, but the only drawback is that you need to have a haze to use them. But for what they do, they are very, very good. Only because the speed cake exists. Yes, there's a lot of haze in New World. There's a lot of haze in New World. And with a nerf to haste, these boots got more value, right? Since they nerf haste, these boots, they gain value. So these boots are now slightly better than they have ever been before. And on top of that, they buffed these boots not too long ago. Then the next boots that we have are going to be the Creed boots. Now, chat, I'm gonna tell you something. The Creed boots, it's amazing. The only problem with the Creed boots is that right now, there's not that many builds that can use it. The Creed's boots is a boot that is ahead of its time. The Creed's boots is in preparation for the dagger. It is an insanely powerful artifact, but the only problem with it is that this boot require you to have the element of surprise. All right, these boots require you to go balls deep in and then deep out. And if you did not kill the enemy in the time being, then you really need to fucking deep out, because you don't have any defenses from any other artifact that you will otherwise be wearing. So Creeds are good boots that will increase in value whenever the daggers come out. But right now, they are right here in a B tier category that you could use it if you want with a very, very specific build. And we got two more boots. This one is the move. I'm gonna put the move on maybe on a C tier. They cannot be more than a C tier. They have their own uses in PvP if you don't want to be displaced. But mostly people use the move in PvE, so you don't get pushed all over the place. Especially in PvE, there's a lot of staggers and there's a lot of shit. So if you do get hit by a stagger or a knockback as a tank, you will not be displaced. So it has some niche uses, but I agree, 10,000% Creed boots waiting for dagger, 100% labs, 100%, dude. And then we got these boots right here. These are new boots, right? I don't know what those boots are. Let me take a look at them. Runic Greaves. Activating a hard rune will grant you 23% movement speed for 6 seconds. All right, well, we're done with the boots. We are done with the boots, and now we can move towards the pants. All right, the first pants that we're going to be talking about are going to be the Inductors. S tier. Not even a competition. No fucking brainer. I don't even want to talk more about that. Well, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that. So the Ace of Conductor makes you do more damage than light, but be medium. And that is exceptional. All right. Then the next pants that we're going to be talking about are going to be the Attune Leather Pants. Also S tier. These pants are exceptional for any mixed attribute build in the entire game. These pants are so fucking MVP. They make so many builds possible in the game that otherwise you would not be able to have. And on top of that, the Attune Leather Pants has some very, very, very good perks. It has Refreshing and Elemental Aversion. Those are some two good perks that you get on an artifact. And it gives you the most amount of stats in the entire game. And these are medium pants, meaning that you can use them both in light and medium as well. All right. The next pants that we're going to be talking about, it is going to be Freedom. And I think Freedom is an A tier artifact. Freedom giving you a flat out 20% freedom, it is really fucking good. And the fact about freedom is that freedom supersedes freedom cap, meaning that you can have 4 freedom in your gear and you can put the freedom pants and also have more freedom, basically making you immune to all stuns and all of the slows and all of the roots in the game. Freedom is very, 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 very good. The only problem with freedom, it is that it's heavy pants, meaning that can only be utilized in a medium gear or in a heavy gear. But it is very, very good because, again, these pants are the only ones that allow you to become immune to slows, roots, and stuns, and nothing else in the game can do that. All right, the next pants that we have are going to be the Iron Heart pants, and these pants are also A tier. They give you 20% more health as long as you are not a heavy player, and if you utilize this with Shuriken Heal, or if you just want to go for a very tanky approach, the Iron Heart are very, very, very good. They give you a flat out 20% extra health. The only thing is that you cannot be heavy. They are a very, very good artifact if you're gonna go for a tanky approach, but unfortunately they are a low A tier, high B tier artifact. And as for the last pants, it is the Koya's knee guards, and they go straight in the shatter. These are probably one of the worst artifacts in the game as well. Nobody will ever use that. Not only is this pants incredibly fucking racist, but they're also incredibly fucking shit. And yeah, that does it with the pants. And now let's go ahead and start talking about the weapons. Finisher, S tier. All right, yeah, okay, yeah. Finisher, S tier. The fact that Finisher just give you that 15% increased damage to the other weapon, and it is a rapier, that is incredibly fucking good. You know, because yes, the enemy needs to be bleeding, but whenever you're using the rapier, the enemy is bleeding. Therefore, you know, and the thing about the finisher that a lot of people don't know is that it says attacks against bleeding targets. It doesn't have to be your bleeds. It could be anybody else's bleed, right? You could be attacking a girl that is on her period, and you will be doing 15% more damage to her. Why? Because she's bleeding. All right? Finisher is really, really good. What else we're gonna talk about? Freya Francesca, also S tier artifact. If you want to go for a long range or a throwing hatchet build, this hatchet is just a powerhouse. There's no competition, and this hatchet, it is so mega fucking powerful at doing what it does. Freya's Francesca for a throwing hatchet build is, boy, my fucking god. It is so crazy. It is so crazy. All right, then we're gonna talk about Inferno. I'm gonna get a lot of controversy by this, chat. I'm gonna get a lot of controversy by this. But Inferno is a high A tier artifact. Not because it's a fire staff, but because the 15% damage, the 15% damage that it gives to your other weapons. Excuse me. Right. You can use Void Blade, Inferno. Dumb build. Right? You can do Flail, Inferno. Dumb build. Blunderbuss, Inferno. Dumb build. Hatchet, Inferno. Dumb build. So Inferno is an A tier just simply because it gives any other strength weapon that you want to play it in the game with a flat out 15%, you know, damage increase. And that is really fucking good. Right? Because if you use a primary weapon that is not the fire staff, then putting Inferno back there, it is insane. Because it would just give you more damage for all of your, all of that main weapon. Unless you're using an artifact main weapon, then use Inferno to empower your main weapon. Your main weapon could be the Void Gauntlet, it could be a hatchet, it could be a great axe, it could be a flail, it could be a great axe. Yes. All right. The next one is the Abyss, and the Abyss is an S tier artifact. The Abyss, in my opinion, the Abyss is the coolest artifact in the entire fucking game. In my opinion, the Abyss closes the gap between melee and magic, and it makes it work flawlessly. Abyss, it is the perfect synergy of magic and melee, and it is such a fucking cool concept. And everything on the Abyss, it is amazing. Every single one of its perks, it's amazing. All right. Then we're gonna have the Tempest Fury. Tempest Fury is gonna be an A tier artifact. Probably a B tier artifact. I'll put it at a high B tier, because while the whirlwind is really fun, it is also incredibly niche, and it can be easily countered by a lot of people and a lot of weapons in the game if they have, you know, if they know what they're doing. And the thing about this Great Axe is that it's not that super amazing unless you're using Whirlwind. It forces you to play with the ability Whirlwind, and all it does, it makes you spin 5 extra time. It is niche in some builds, but it does very good at doing that. And if it is niche for some builds, then it is a B tier. Then we have Serenity. Serenity is an S tier artifact. Nobody will argue that. This is Dead Freeze. Dead Freeze is an S tier artifact. There's no argument on that. Then we have Vengeance. And in my opinion, Vengeance is a low B tier, maybe high C tier life staff. The reward they did to this life staff did not do any favor to it. You know, it does give you a pretty good stamina regeneration, but it kind of forces you to play a different play style that is not optimal for life staff. You can have some niche builds here and there with the Vengeance life staff, but in my personal opinion, I feel like Vengeance used to be better than what it was. I mean, what they made it. We might see some better uses in the future, but right now, Vengeance is as good as this bad boy here. All right, the Mechanic. The Mechanic is a B tiered artifact, maybe low A tiered artifact. I'm gonna put it in a low A tier artifact. The Mechanic, it is a beautiful musket if you want to play close range musket. I'm gonna put it A tier, low A tier. No other musket in the game can do what the Mechanic does if you want to play with a blunderbuss, or if you want to play with, like, you know, like close range with like a fire staff. I really like the Mechanic. Like, the huge different, nothing bad, just interesting. Love the passion. Fuck yeah. All right. Unfortunately, the Mechanic is only a PvP artifact. It's not a PvE artifact. Then we have the Butcher. I'll say the Butcher is also an A tier artifact. I'm gonna put it as a high A tier artifact. It's really fucking good. Butchered, it is an amazing artifact for both PvP and PvE if you want to be a DPS or a tank. Butchered is really good. Butchered is borderline S tier. Butchered is borderline S tier. I'm gonna put it down here. Why Inferno not S? Because you don't use Inferno. Because what is A about Inferno is the effect, not the weapon itself. You know what I mean? Then we have Sin. Sin is a low S, high A tier as well. Very good. Anything that has any sort of debuff in the game, it will last 20% longer. So yeah, this one is borderline low S, very high A. I will say they have the same amount of value as the Butcher. Let me see. Although it's you know, it's like an A tier. It's like an A tier artifact. It's really good. Unfortunately, it's not an S tier artifact. The only problem with Although is its limits, right? The enemy needs to be either knocked down or stunned. You deal 20% more damage to stun or knock down foes, and it's just you, right? Although it's a god artifact, yeah, it's a very good artifact. It's an A tiered artifact. Although it's a very good artifact, and that's why it's an A tiered artifact. But that 20% damage increase is not always there. And if the enemy blocks or if the enemy is not knocked down or stunned, then this artifact never does any extra damage. But when you knock down the enemy, then yes, it is very, very good, especially synergized with weapon like spears and blunderbuss, and even sword and shield. All right, then we have a Scorpion Sting. Scorpion Sting, it's either a high B or a low A tier artifact. I'm gonna put it on a high B tier artifact because Scorpion Sting is as niche as Tempest Fury. Yeah, you can use it in some builds, but the problem with this artifact is that it puts all of its eggs in one basket on an ability that is incredibly telegraphed, an ability that it can be easily blocked, and an ability that can be easily missed as well. And when the whole artifact revolves around that one, just that one ability that is so hard to connect, then the artifact becomes nothing but a niche artifact. And on top of that, if you use this artifact, the Javelin ability has a longer cooldown, making it even less reliable for a, all-around build. Then we have Venom. Venom is an S tier artifact. I don't even need to argue this. This artifact is, that doesn't even need an argument. For those of you that don't know what Venom does, it's crazy. It has Trench and Crit and Trench and Strike, which is an incredibly powerful illegal perk combination. And then it has Poison Tip, which heavy melee attack give you a massive fucking poison thing. But honestly, forget about Poison Tip. Venom having Trench and Crit and Trench and Strike with abilities like Leg Sweep and Coup de Grace makes this thing S tier straight up. And the fact that you can put things like Bleeding Sweep, and if you hit the enemy with a Leg Sweep and Coup de Grace, you will apply the Bleeding Sweep, you will apply Poison Tip, and you will hit the enemy for a Trench and Crit, Trench and Strike that it hits for no minimum that 4, 5, 6,000 damage. Venom is a fucking powerhouse. All right. Then we have... What the fuck is this? Is that the Life Taker? Life Taker goes up here, chat. Life Taker goes on S+ category. If there's 2 artifacts in the game that will make it into the S+ category, those 2 artifacts will be the Life Taker and Gene Head Wrap. Those will be probably the 2 only artifacts in the game that make it into the S+ category. Then we have the Spark of Mjolnir. Spark of Mjolnir, in my opinion, is an A tier Warhammer. This Warhammer is incredibly fucking strong. Incredibly fucking strong. Such a goddamn good artifact. Very, very high damage and lots of weakens with the gavel. It's very, very, very good. If you're gonna go for like a main Warhammer build, the Spark is the way to go, dude. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Is that the Bowcaster? A tier. Bowcaster's an A tier artifact. It does everything that a Bowcaster should do. Very high single target damage. And it does it better than any bow in the game. Without any competition. If you want a single target damage bow, the Bowcaster will be it. No competition. Bowcaster does what it does. Fucking amazing. Then we have Pestilence Blunderbuss. Pestilence Blunderbuss, unfortunately, is a B tier artifact. Alright. The reason why Pestilence Blunderbuss is a B tier artifact is because the anti-heal that it applies, they're not that powerful, and the perks that this weapon have is not that powerful. So the only time that you will use a Pestilence Blunderbuss is if you want to go for an anti-heal build, and if you're gonna go for an anti-heal build, then there's better things. But if you do want to use a Blunderbuss with an anti-heal build, then Pestilence can help you out. The main problem with Pestilence is 2 things, right? The number 1 thing is that the disease only lasts 3 fucking seconds, Sean. What the fuck, dude? Are you fucking kidding me? 3 fucking seconds? Get the fuck out of here, bro. You blink and it's gone. It lasts 3 fucking seconds. And it's a pretty fucking shitty debuff. It's only a 15% anti-heal. 15% anti-heals. And it doesn't even have a gem socket. On top of that, it has Keen, which is one of the worst, if not the worst, perk for Blunderbuss in the whole game. You know, right next to Vicious. You could use a normal Blunderbuss with any other artifacts and do whatever Pestilence does, but better. And on top of that, do more damage. There's no real reason for you to be prioritizing Pestilence over anything else. And this is why Pestilence cannot be better than a B tier artifact. Then we have Aconite. I don't even need to talk about that shit. Then we have Burn Potato. I don't even need to talk about these shit. Then we have... Let's see. Is it with a Z or with a... Okay, it's with a Z. Hitting a target with Entomb Break will inflict them with a Frost Burn and slowing their movement and speed by 10%. Oh, wow. And dealing 10% weapon damage every 5... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Let me remind myself what Hesita does. For 5 seconds after casting a lifetime ability, the next heavy attack that passes through an island will grant it a reinforced, giving them 30% damage absorption for the next hit taken within 7 seconds. Not super bad. Not super bad. Once again, this is a B tier artifact because, again, it's not better than a normal life staff. It could be maybe a low A tier, high B tier. Since I put Vengeance in B tier, I'm gonna put Hesita in a very low A tier. Then we have Shrapnel. I don't even want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. Then we have this motherfucker right here. This guy is S tier. So, Power Stone. The reason why Power Stone is S tier is because Power Stone gives you the ability to apply 50% weaken to the enemy by just using the flail. Power Stone is mega fucking S tier because it allows you to have the enemy with a 50% weaken at all given time. And not just one enemy. It could be every enemy. It could be 10, 20, 3, 2 enemies. Power Stone, it is superb in both PvP and PvE. Then we have Grace. I will say Grace is an A tier Grace Sword for what it does. It is almost a high B tier, but I'm gonna put it at an A tier. Down here, it does give you a pretty good amount of movement and speed. Unfortunately, does not has, you know, high damage like the other Grace Sword artifact. Grace Hatchet build is hilarious. Oh shit, dude. Then we have Tricina. Tricina is probably like a C- artifact. We have Chaos. Chaos is also a C- artifact. We have Wits. Wits is a C tier artifact as well. Then we have this one. I would say this one is either C tier or D tier, chat. What do you guys think? Oh my fucking god, bro. Let me put that shit in S tier, bro. Let me put fucking Cringe Wave over here in S tier and just fucking move on. And then last but not least, we had Ytterson. And Ytterson, unfortunately, also falls in the same category as a C tier right next to Chaos. While these two artifacts are incredibly good at doing what they do, they get neglected by Grids. If Grid did not exist in the game, this artifact will immediately, both of them, chat, I'm not kidding with you. If Grid was not a thing in the game, or if Chaos and Ytterson, right? You see this effect right here where it says Blast Shot has a 170% push distance, and it will ignite the first enemy target that it hits, turn him into a projectile. 70% weapon damage to all target that it passes along through the path, comma, Chaos Blast ignores Grid, right? If they add that, comma, Chaos Blast ignore Grid, Chaos Blast immediately goes from a C tier to an A high tier artifact. Not just it, this one as well. Because the moment they do that, these two weapons are going to become a must-have in every war roster. Because if you can on demand get people out of the point, these two weapons, both of them become very high to S tier weapons. But right now, you go into a clump of bruisers and you go, ew, nobody moves. Why? Because every single one of them is either pressing left click, doing a shockwave, doing something that has grid, making these two artifacts that it could be an incredibly flavorful touch to the meta, but unfortunately, as they are, they cannot be better than a low C tier artifact. And they really need to add that effect to both Chaos and Ytterson if they want to make people use them or be relevant in the meta. It's too hard to hit. And Grant, there's so many variables, brother. Okay, Blast Shot is super hard to hit, and Clear It Out is super hard to hit. And not only are they super hard to hit, but if they have grid, it doesn't do anything to them. If they're blocking, it doesn't do anything to them. If they're dodging, it doesn't do anything to them. Like, there are so many things that completely makes these two weapons irrelevant that it's impossible. Subscribing, this was an outstanding breakdown. And that is about it. You guys also have to understand that this is my personal opinion. I have about 10,000 hours in New World, so it's a pretty good opinion, right? It's a pretty good informed opinion because I have a lot of experience with every single one of these artifacts in the game. You might have a different opinion, and if you would love to tell me your opinion, leave a comment in the section down below. And remember that I stream on Twitch every single day as well. I'll see you guys the next time, and I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Peace!